Hey guys, I'm Alex from Ready Room Alpha, starting this podcast called Between the Lines. It's our very first episode. Just wanted to talk to you guys about leadership, all the ins and outs, the goods, the bads, my experiences, the path that I've gone on, the things that I've learned. But the very first episode today is about making yourself seem more important than you really are. And I think that's what a lot of up and coming leaders are having a hard time dealing with. The biggest thing that I encounter is when you become a manager, a supervisor, or somebody who has to look out for other employees. Something happens where it's like, oh, I'm a leader. That's not always the case. New managers, new supervisors. I'm here to tell you, it's not that fucking simple. And you're going to make mistakes. You're gonna fuck up. It's only natural. But those experiences are what builds good leaders. Because if you roll right into a leadership position, no, if you roll right into a management position, supervisor, anything like that, pump the fucking brakes, cool your jets, humble yourself, and realize just because you're in that seat, let me tell you, the leadership aspect is going to be a hard one for you. Now, if you walk up into those situations where, you are humble, you're wanting to learn, you're still wanting to be coached, because guess what? Just because you're in charge of people does not mean that you are done being coached. You are not done learning. It's a whole different ballgame, because not only do you have to take care of your career, now you're responsible for other people's careers. Blah, other people's careers. Now you're responsible for building up what I like to say, the next generation of leaders. That's one of the most important things. That's what people don't realize, is that our responsibility is not just the job, but guess what? Who's going to replace us when we move on to other things, when we move on to greater opportunities? How many of you can honestly say that if you were to leave your company, your business, whatever, right now, you are 100% positive that there is somebody who can step directly into your shoes? Probably not a lot of us. I used to be that way, but then, it dawned on me, like, what am I doing to prepare my team to accomplish the mission, to accomplish the goals? A little bit of backstory about myself. I'm a Navy veteran. Was in the Navy for 5 years. Had a lot of learning experiences. I fucked up, obviously. Who didn't while you were in the military? But looking back, you don't really realize it at the time, but you're learning a whole different skill set that honestly not a lot of civilian people get to experience. Like making decisions under pressure. That's one of the biggest and one of the most influential things that can happen to you while you're in the military is, guess what? You don't get that week to think about it. You don't get that, oh, let me get back to you tomorrow. But if you got to make a decision that's fucking life or death, mission critical, you better have your big boy pants on or big girl pants on, just saying, to make that. And I think that's a lot of civilians don't necessarily get those opportunities. So, there's a gap in leadership styles, which I'll cover on another episode. But yeah, leadership is not a title. I think that's where a lot of people get confused. Leadership is not a title. It is something that you earn, right? It's something that you gain from experience, from people trusting you. It's I understand where it could be synonymous with management and supervisory roles, but I've seen a lot of people make that mistake, and it's come to bite them in the ass, where they instantly lose their what the fuck was I thinking about? Sorry, I'm trying to get used to this mic thing. Here we go. That might be better. Anyways, I forgot what I was going to say, but you know, like I mentioned before, oh Lord, I've had a lot of good leaders. I've had a lot of bad leaders also, but picking up on those experiences, observing different leadership styles, I think that's what really kickstarted my career in becoming a leader. Because you guys, leadership is a lifestyle. It's not a job. It's a lifestyle. So just remember that. I remember there's this one chief when I was stationed in Norfolk. I was on the seawall. We were responsible for like 18 squadrons. I worked in the communications and navigations department, what's called Fleet Readiness Center, right? As the name says, we're supposed to ready the fleet, right? Anyways, I remember I had this chief that, what's the word for it? Because of the rank, he felt entitled to really not give a fuck. I think that's the best way that I could put it. He really didn't care about your feelings. Not to say like military is like, oh, we have to worry about feelings, but he really didn't give a fuck about you, your family, your outside life. And man, that guy, one, he just used his voice to try to get things done. It's very commanding. He knife-handed the shit out of people. For those of you that don't know, the knife hand is the civilian equivalent of like pointing your fucking finger in someone's nose. When you got knifed hand, you were like, at attention, you're like, ah! But anyways, I remember that was probably one of the worst leaders that I've ever experienced with. And when you go through those things, you say to yourself, I hope to all fuck that I'm not like that when I'm in charge of people. Some people don't come to that realization. Sorry, words are hard. Some people don't come to that, and they're just, they're just going through the motions, right? But the ones who really care, the ones who really observe and are like, man, this guy just cannot motivate me. This guy I don't want to do a thing this guy says, and that translates into the civilian world. That translates into your business, into, your team. I can guarantee you, if you have to, flash your leadership identity card and tell people I'm the boss, I'm in charge. I hate to break it to you, but they don't give a fuck about you. They really don't. They don't. People don't work that way, right? They're not little robots you can control. Wait, that's marionettes. They're not robots. No, that's a car. Whatever. They're not robots that you can control. Okay, they're people. They're humans, and going through that experience is. I mean, like, he was the worst chief leader I ever had. Thankfully, I had way more brilliant experiences with good leaders who they understood that I needed to learn. They understood that, I want to give 100%, but I need somebody to help show me the way, right? I'm coachable. Show me. Let me know. If you want me to figure it out on my own, I'll do it. But you know what? It's always comforting to know that there are some people on this earth who truly care about making you better than the person that you were before. And honestly, I think that's a beautiful thing. Not to get all mushy gushy, but that truly means that leadership is truly a lifestyle, and it's a discipline. You gotta be disciplined to be, I guess, in charge of people's careers. It's one thing to say like, do this, do this, do that, when in reality, you're being a shitbag somewhere else. You know what I mean? People pick up on that, and people can pick up when you're fake. So try a little bit of authenticity. I promise you that it's gonna go a long way for you. So, anyways, this chief, going back to that story, not a lot of people respected him, like, at all. They only did what he asked because of the ranking structure. So, and that really tells a lot about a person. But anyways, moving on. People like that, if you really like, pump the brakes, if you really stop and think about it, people like that are everywhere in your jobs. Maybe you even have some friends like that who try to macho themselves up and, try to take command, try to, force people to do what they want. They're everywhere. And when you really step back and think about it, you're like, wow, this guy is trying to use his authority to take advantage of me. I like that. Don't be weird. But it's once you figure it out, and once you pause, and once you take a moment to observe somebody, watch people when they're in a team setting or a group setting. Look for those people that always have to interject themselves. They always need to prove their point, prove that they're right. They always want to have the last say, or you have the one-uppers, obviously, who oh, you did this. Oh, well, guess what? When I did it, once you really learn to observe and pay attention, you really start to notice those people. And I think it's those observations, it's those things that we see, that now our wheels are turning. Now it's like, oh, okay, I don't want to be like that. But there are also those people that, like, I'm so entranced by every word that you're saying. Like, tell me more. Motivate the shit out of me. There are people like that. And when you really learn to stop and observe and take it all in, if you will, right? Just shut your mouth, pay attention, get off your phone. Because we all do it. I do it. I know you do it. Don't fucking lie. That's when you really start gaining the experience, right? Which is just the first aspect, is observation. Watching the leaders in your group, in your area, in your business, watch them, both the good and the bad, and start taking, mental notes about, okay, I don't want to do this. I love the way this guy's doing this. Start paying attention, because I guarantee you that it'll click. I promise you it'll click. If you really start to, I forgot where I was going with that. Anyways, a lot of people, they follow trust. They follow trust and authenticity over commanding and look at me, right? It's one thing to act like you know what you're doing, and it's another thing to act out what you're preaching, right? Walk the walk and talk the talk. Yeah, I think that's how it goes. Be authentic. That's one of the things that I had to learn. Like, I felt like I had to stop. I had to change who I was, be serious, and have all these rules. And I did not like that. I didn't like the person that I was becoming. Not becoming. I didn't like the person that I had to be in order to try to get things done where I worked, right? And I think a lot of us have fallen into that category of, you think you have to change the person that you are to become a better leader. Even before that, you have to change who you are when you become a manager or a supervisor. And that's really not the case. Use who you are to enhance those leadership skills, right? Use who you are to be that person that people trust. Because, like I mentioned before, authenticity. People follow authenticity. People follow trust, right? It's one of the most fundamental characteristics of a leader, is, can I trust them? And are they being real with me? Or are they just a fake ass that's just trying to get their way? Trying to, butter me up. That's butter on toast, by the way. But, a lot of people that I've coached over the years have asked me, why are you doing this? And for the longest time, I did not have a good answer for that. And then it clicked on me. I'm doing this because, motherfucker, I believe in you. I'm giving back to you the very thing that I wished someone would have given to me early on in my career, because you just don't see it. Yes, leadership is becoming a more popular topic, amongst everybody. But even back then, like 10 years ago, when I was in the Navy, and even before that, it was just like, just fucking do what you're told. Come in, do your job, don't ask questions. And if you do ask questions, it's like, why are you questioning my judgment. Why are you questioning me? And guys, understand we're supposed to ask questions. If your team isn't asking questions, you're not cultivating a culture of free thinkers. Those are the people that are going to get you the good ideas. Those are the people that are going to win, right? Those are the people that are going to make or break your company's goals. Are your free thinkers, your people who ask questions, and the people that you build up, the people that you can trust. If you're not doing any of those things, fucking throw in the towel. If you're not willing to, again, humble yourself and think back on, like, damn, am I being a dick to that guy or girl, lady, person, whatever I have to say now? Just take a moment, right? Take a moment and understand you're not perfect. Not everybody has to like you, but that's when leaders really show up. Somebody may not like you, but guess what? It's still your job. What's the word? I cannot vocabulary today. It's your job to bring people up, right? It's a very crucial thing as a leader. It's a very delicate thing too, because some people, you get one chance and that's it. Sorry to say it, but not everybody is going to like you. So making yourself commanding, demanding people do things, buddy, that's the wrong way to go about it. People follow leaders. They don't follow managers. You don't gain people's trust by commanding. You don't gain people's fellowship by trying to be the smartest person in the room. You don't. Let them see that you are also coachable, right? Hey, man, that was a really great fucking idea. Tell me more about it. I want to learn what you know, right? Humanizing and sympathizing with people goes so far for you. You don't always have to be the person with the brightest fucking idea. You don't always have to be the person that's right. Be the dumbest person in the room. Telling you, be the rock as a leader that people need. I guess I'll just end it there. Be the rock that people need, right? Be calm, because when you get out of hand, when you start imploding, right? Losing your temper, losing your cool, losing your shit, that's when you start losing people. And I learned that the hard way. I let my emotions get the best of me. I wore my emotions on my sleeve, and I realized that when I kept doing that, people just stopped taking me so seriously. So again, be coachable, right? I took a step back. I'm like, what is happening? Did some personal development, read some books. Fucking okay, it's me, right? I'm the problem. It's me. But just being able to realize that and take it in it's a never-ending journey. So again, don't be that asshole that has to fucking use their position to get people to do what you want to do. That's the worst possible thing that you can do. Be somebody that listens, that guides, that cares, right? Care for your people. Thank you for joining me on my first episode of Between the Line. I started Ready Room Alpha a couple years ago, and the brand is to empower leadership everywhere. So do me a favor, subscribe to this podcast. I have so much more to say on this, and I'm going to keep it real. I don't have a filter, so I'm sorry for those of you that don't necessarily like that, but it is what it is. I'm me, I am you, we are all together. Beatles reference. Or Rush Hour, he is me, and I am you. Anyways, take care. I hope you guys have a great night. Catch you on the next episode.